Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Health. Let me fix this. I am your host, Chef C.C. Péan. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. You know, we're going to keep it going with the sweet treats. Now, I don't know how many of you tried the last cookies that we made with the banana and the gluten-free oats and all of that. They're perfectly sweet, super easy to make. This one is just about as easy to make. This one is paleo, it's keto, it's vegan, it's nut-free, it's gluten-free. Let's see what else. It's refined sugar-free, and it's yummy. So follow along. There are a few things to keep an eye out for this recipe, but I'm going to go through the ingredients that we're using first. So we have coconut flour. I love Bob's Red Mill. Their products are really, really great. So I always get their products. They're a little pricey, but the quality is amazing. So I would encourage you to go for the quality, not the cheap stuff. Look, your body is a temple. What you're putting in your body is going to nourish it and sustain it. You want to make sure that you're putting quality products in. So we've got Bob's Red Mill. I have some organic cocoa powder. Okay, this is literally just cocoa powder. There's no sugar, nothing added to that. Then we have some coconut sugar. All right, this is great because it has this really unique flavor to it. It sweetens, it's not overly sweet, and it's not refined. So that's why it's a great thing. We have a little bit of flax meal that we're going to use to replace our egg. Let me spin this around. Then we have a little bit of 5-spice powder. I wanted to do a little something different to these cookies. So they've got this kind of warm, almost holiday flavor to them because 5-spice is a mixture of cinnamon, fennel, cloves, star anise, and white pepper. Different 5-spice powders have different ingredients, but that's what this particular one has. We're going to use a little bit of baking powder. We're going to use a little bit of vanilla. This is something else. I will encourage you to get pure vanilla extract. You cannot replace the flavor of pure vanilla extract as opposed to artificial vanilla flavoring. And then we have a little bit of avocado oil, a neutral oil that's going to go into this recipe. And then we have a little bit of fine sea salt. So what do you have to be careful with on this recipe? It is the coconut flour. Coconut flour is very absorbent. So you can't just kind of like guesstimate. You have to be very particular about the amount of coconut flour that you use and how you measure it. So there are two ways to do it. You can either spoon the coconut flour into your measuring cup. Do not pack it down, because if you pack it down, you're going to have more in the recipe than you need, and you're going to end up with a dry cookie. So one way is to simply spoon the 1/4 cup of coconut flour in here. The other way, to be very, very precise, to make sure you don't have any issues, is to use a scale. And so you are going to go 32 grams or 1.13 ounces. Okay, so that's what you need to keep an eye out for. What else? Our oven is set to 350 degrees. Somebody brought to my attention the other week that I did not give that. And the funny thing is, the joke is that there's a certain community that everything is 350 degrees. I'm part of that community. And appropriately so with this recipe, it's 350 degrees. So these are our ingredients. And the first thing that we're going to do, we are using flax meal instead of egg as our binder. If you all remember a couple weeks ago when we made those gluten-free cookies, what did we use as a binder? I want to see who remembers what we used as a binder a couple weeks ago. There's so many great binders that you can use in the place of eggs. You can use applesauce. You can use this flax meal. You can use chia seed, psyllium husk. There's so many different things that you can use as a binder. Nobody's answering. So a couple weeks ago, we used banana. Banana served as our binder. But this evening, we're going to use flax meal. So what I have here is I have 6 tablespoons. Let me just move this stuff out the way. Put this over here. Wonderful. So we have my little notes here. Let's move that to the side. We have 6 tablespoons of water, and we have 1 tablespoon of flax meal. Now, I like to buy my flax seeds. I keep them in the refrigerator, and I grind them as I need. Always refrigerate your flax seeds because they'll last a lot longer. So what I do is I just grind them as I need it. So this is a tablespoon. I'm just going to drop this in the water. I'm going to mix it around a little bit. And the reason we're doing this to start is because we need about 5 minutes for this to gel and do its thing. You don't want to just throw the flax meal in there. You don't want to just like add it to the mix, the water, and then pour some flax meal. No, you need to do it on the side and let it do its thing. It's going to get a little thick here, and it's going to serve as our binder. Okay, so that's mixed well enough. So let's get started. I said 32 grams or a quarter cup or 1.13 ounces. So I'm going to turn on my scale, and I'm going to weight it for the container. I'm pressing 0 again, and I'm going to weigh 32 grams of this coconut flour. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like the taste of coconut, you're still fine. This does not taste like coconut at all. If you have an allergy, that's a different story. But if you just kind of don't like coconut flavor, you're not going to taste it in this. So let me show you what I was talking about. There's a few different ways you can do this. You can either spoon it, just take spoonfuls, place it in there. Don't pack it. You can do it like so, okay? And I'm going to put this, I'm going to weigh this out. Okay, that's 20. So I can tell you folks that the best plan would be to use a scale. All right, we're trying to get to our 32. We're at 30. There we go. 32 grams. Okay, so that's going to go into our bowl. The next thing we're going to do, and you only have to be very particular with the coconut flour. The other stuff, you're fine. If you want to measure likewise, that's perfectly fine. To get some like consistency. And we've got a quarter cup of the cocoa powder. This may seem like a lot of sugar, but it really is not. And again, it's not refined. Quarter cup of this. So now we have our sea salt. We're going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon of our sea salt. Go in here. Go with that. 1/2 a teaspoon of baking powder. I always like to remind people to use this leveler here. See that little mechanism right there? After you scoop out your baking powder, I just run my spoon right along it so it flattens it out. So I don't have more than I need. And the last thing I'm going to add is my fried spice. Now, I introduced you all, some of you all, to cardamom a few weeks ago. These are different flavors. These are kind of bringing in the islands and the diaspora. That's why I like to use it. But if it's a little bit too much to you, no problem. You can just use cinnamon. You can just use nutmeg, or you can just avoid, just not even use any extra things at all. There we go with our ½ teaspoon of five spice powder. And I'm going to take my whisk. I'm just going to mix this together. It's well incorporated, so that the flavor goes throughout. I think next week I'm going to do something with pumpkin. I know it's the pumpkin-y time of year. So next week we're going to do something with pumpkin. By the way, I wasn't live last week because I live just outside of Tampa and we were preparing for Hurricane Ian that we really were anticipating to come here and give us a run for our money, but we were very blessed and fortunate that nothing happened. Literally, in our home, we have this big planter in the front yard, and the next day I went outside and it was turned over on its side. That was it. So we fared well, but as you know, a lot of people in Florida did not. So we are, thank you, Yolande. So we are incredibly grateful, but we are keeping our Florida neighbors in our prayers as they, struggle to get their lives back together. So now that we have mixed our dry ingredients, get a little bit of this off the side, we are going to, this is a neutral flavored oil, it's avocado oil. We've got 2 tablespoons of this going in. Okay. And then we have a ½ teaspoon of our vanilla extract going in. You could even use almond extract if you wanted to. I just feel like, you just be creative. Just try different things. You never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. Okay, so we have our avocado oil. We have our vanilla extract, and now we're going to add in our flax egg. Let's put that right in there. And I'm going to use my whisk again. Whisk this together. And coconut flour is extremely absorbent. Okay, and so we're just going to let this rest for a couple minutes. That's it. That is your whole prep for this. So we've got our oven at 350. We have a baking sheet that I've lined with parchment paper. I have also got a cooling rack that we're going to put the cookies on once they come out of the oven. And I've got 2 types of scoops. So, this is a relatively low calorie recipe. Each of these bites is about 50, 60 calories. But let me say this. I am somebody who has had to learn just because something is healthy doesn't mean that you eat goo gobs of it. You still have to be temperate, okay? So here are the scoops that we're going to use. These are going to be little bites. I mean, of course, if you wanted to go bigger, you could. But these are little bites. So this scoop right here is about a tablespoon and a half. And this one is about a tablespoon. Tablespoon is a little small for me, but if you use a tablespoon scooper, you'll get about 12 of these. If you use a 1.5 tablespoon scooper, you're going to get about 7 or 8. Okay, so let's check this. This has come together pretty well. See it? Now, also, like I said last time, this is a recipe that you're going to want to double up. It is. You can also add nuts to this. You can add chocolate chips to it. What else? You can drizzle this with peanut butter at the end. There's so many different things you can do, but we're keeping it simple tonight. So we've waited our 2 to 3 minutes, and now we're going to scoop these out. So you just do this over again so you can see. I push the scoop down and I run it across the side to flatten the bottom of it. And then we're just gonna drop it on the cookie sheet, just like that. These kind of have a brownie consistency. You know, there's something that I used to love to get. They have them in a lot of places. Unfortunately, they often have them at the checkout aisle, and they're like 2-bite brownies. These are very much like the 2-bite brownies, but way less fat and way less calories. And this is chock full of good ingredients as opposed to all the stuff that's in those. But the reason I bring that up is because those used to be something that I would grab at a checkout. Can't do that. All right, there's 4. These can be kept in a tightly sealed container for a few days. I wouldn't freeze these. There's really no need to because they can be prepared so quickly. I would say that most of you probably have these ingredients at home, but I don't think coconut flour is something the average person has. All right. So we've got, it's probably like 8.5. Right? So this in the oven, and I will be right back. That goes in at 350 for about 10 minutes or so, 10 to 12 minutes, depends on your oven. But I would lean towards less time. The reason why is, honestly, there's nothing that really needs cooking in these. They're pretty much ready to go. So you don't have to worry about being sick or anything like that when you bake them. This is gonna be another super fast night tonight. So after they come out, you're going to let them rest on the tray for a few minutes, and then on the baking tray, and then you're going to put them on the rack so they can cool completely, and then you are done. These are our 5-spice coconut chocolate cookies, coconut flour chocolate cookies. They are vegan, they're gluten-free, they're nut-free, they're paleo, they're keto, and they're yummy. So I've been detoxing for the past 2 days, but I'm going to take one for the team and taste this. This is super fudgy, super rich. You know, the size is actually perfect because it's not something that you're going to want to eat a lot of, or you'll be able to eat a lot of, because it's very, very rich. This would be delicious with a nice cup of tea in the evening or in the morning. It's nice and rich and moist. and good for you. So this is this week's treat. Falling apart. And I would love to know if any of you try to make it. Please post. And again, we've asked this in the past, but let us know the types of things that you would like to see. Next week, I'm going to be incorporating pumpkin somehow into something. And by the way, this time of the year, people think of pumpkin, they always think sweet. Pumpkin goes savory as well. So maybe we'll do something like that. But anyway, thank you for joining us on Reclaiming Your Health. It was great having you here. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Here's to health. Bye-bye.